Let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to Boxing Unwrapped. It's Boxing Unwrapped, the boxing podcast that's more well known in America than Deontay Wilder. I'm Ryan.
I'm Andrew.
And guys, welcome to our show, What the F is the Boxing News, where we give you the weekly rundown of what happened last week and what is coming up for you this week. So Andy, do you want to tell the good people what we've got in store?
I do. Do you know what occurred to me? That because we're now doing a split, so like 2 episodes per week, that you've got to come up with like 2 of those witty introductions instead of 1. I just feel sorry for you.
No, man, it's a tough one. Like, it's a tough one. I spend all week like trying to come up with them.
All week. Should start stockpiling them. Anyway, this week we're going to look at what the F are the results from last week. We are, of course, going to look at what are the fights coming up. We are going to look at what the F went wrong last week. There's a few things, nothing too major. And we're going to look at some random news, and then we're going to have some grinds my gears.
Well,
and we'll finish off with a little bit of listener.
Yeah, a little bit. So, let's dive in to what the F are the results from last week. None. Nothing. There was no boxing last week. Well, let's start off with Fridays. Friday stuff, man.
Go on then. That's a sensible.
Tevin Farmer, John O'Carroll fight for the IBF Super Featherweight in Philly. It was on DAZN and Sky. Oh ho ho! What a fight, man! What a fight!
Good fight. More competitive than I think someone had predicted.
I think it was actually. Do you know what? John O'Carroll, although he got beaten, really gave a good account for himself. The one thing I would say to him as a criticism, which it probably was the adrenaline kind of overtaking, is like almost at the end of every round, pretty much, his trainer was saying to him, "Look, stop throwing 6, 7 punches and getting hit with 8 punches. Like throw 2 or 3 punches, step out, then go back in." And he just did not listen.
In and out.
You know, he just hang in there.
Too brave, Ryan. He's too brave. He's like you and me. But brave.
It wasn't brave, was it? It was just stupid because, like, Tevin Farmer's really good, right? He's really good, and he kind of made it look effortless because he kind of showed that John O'Carroll didn't really have enough power behind his punches to like knock him out in the way that he wanted him to, and John O'Carroll just got more and more tired. And then Tevin Farmer then just stepped up in the later rounds and went like, all right, now I'm going to box you. So, but like I hope it's not like I hope John O'Carroll gets like some more interesting fights because I liked seeing him. I thought it was a really entertaining fight to watch.
Yeah, he's pretty good value. Yeah. He's certainly pretty good value. Yeah. Katie Taylor, would you like to talk about
Katie Taylor versus Rose Valente? Man, I tell you what, 9th round TKO, I think she did a lot better in this fight than her last fight, and now is holding down the 3 belts. So she's going to be hunting for undisputed now. I think they're going to make that fight happen. And it's going to be a good one. And to be honest, still incredibly under-publicized. Like, I know that they're pushing her in the States heavily, but I think that they really should be trying to get her celebrated much more at home.
Well, I'm assuming that her press coverage in Ireland is way more concentrated than it is in the UK.
But think about like the population of Ireland is not big enough. It's not a big enough market.
No, I know. No, but I'm assuming. Well, I'm saying I'm assuming. I don't know, but I'm assuming that she gets a lot more press coverage in the Republic than she does here.
Yeah, But anyway, she won every round and knocked Valente out in TKO in the 9th round. So well done to her.
Has she been tested professionally yet?
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Because they're saying it's about like kind of they need to get her in one of the super fights versus one because the problem is there's only like a very small like handful, isn't there, of world class proper world class women. Talked about the fight that I've now had a total mental block about that's supposed to be happening with Clarissa Shields versus Christina Hammer.
Yes.
April 13th is the first one, and then the chat is about Taylor will have the chance to unify or to make it undisputed, and then beyond that fighting one of the other pound for pound women.
So I mean, hopefully. So let's move on to Saturday. Spence versus Garcia, Fox Sports. ITV4 for free, IBF, welterweight. Oh, my boy. Errol Spence.
Right. See, Ryan, just before, I don't know if you're willing to do this, right? But as a favour to me in this section of the podcast, right, before we go any further, please can you insert here the 10-second clip where I say exactly what's going to happen in this fight from last week. My hope is that it's really super competitive and Garcia's managed to put on enough weight in enough of the right way to let his boxing skills kind of shine, and he'll be competitive. My expectation is that he's not going to have enough power to trouble Spence, and he's going to get kind of bullied around the ring a bit.
And it did happen. I can't believe how bad Garcia was. Like, I mean, he was so immobile. And the one thing that I thought as well is actually he did not gain his weight well. So if you looked at Errol Spence Jr., he was all muscle. Whereas Garcia, he was quite flabby, he was very slow, he was immobile as fuck, and like did not throw anything.
No, his punch output was really, really low. He would have had to have been like so accurate, and he had to have had such effective counter punching, given his volume was so low. But he just, he was easy. He was relatively easy to hit, wasn't he? And he never landed hardly anything meaningful the entire fight. And Spence just kind of had his way with him, which is kind of what we said would happen. It was a shutout, was
complete shutout.
There was one. I think the second round there was an argument you could see because very little happened in it. Possibly you could have given it to Garcia. But it was basically like he got dominated. I thought was it the 10th or the 11th? I thought it was very close to getting stopped.
I did as well, and like I think his corner were actually asking him, are you sure you want to continue?
His brother did. Yeah, he did. He asked him. He said, "Do you want to carry on?" Yeah, exactly. And I thought the referee had a decision. There was one point I thought this is just. There's nothing coming back, and then actually after however many seconds he does throw, not landing a meaningful hurtful or anything, but he does start throwing back. But it looked to me like very close to getting stopped. He just got he got bullied. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. And that was the point of putting up the picture on the Facebook page. I know we're sounding like kind of predicting the past, but the point of putting it up was to say, look, he's going to be giving away so much weight and so much power because he's obviously not at all weight trained, and Spence is like incredibly weight trained, so he's going to be so much bigger than him, and he looked so much bigger than him in the ring, and he just had his way with him.
It was like kind of sad to watch, but like I mean, I guess like he's like if anything, his gravestone can say, "I survived Errol Spence Jr."
But he's a pound for pound, Garcia.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Mikey Garcia is like a world class fighter. But he just, it was too much. He took off too much.
Yeah, I just kind of feel that he like for his other like weight divisions when he went up weight divisions, I think he probably put the weight on in a much more clever way.
I think he could have gone up. I think his limit is clearly super lightweight. It's not welterweight. So at most he should be fighting at that, if not lightweight. And if he goes back down to lightweight, there is of course a rather exciting Ukrainian boxer he could fight. Because I don't think Lomachenko's going any further. He can't. No. He's too small. No. He can't be going up to super lightweight. So but that's the fight. And then, but I suppose the thing is with Garcia, he can lose this, and he gets great credit for like his durability. I mean, I thought he looked like he was going to get knocked out at various points, but he didn't, and he took a lot more punishment. He could have been like, oh, I can't carry on or whatever, but he didn't. He wanted to. He's tough. He's really tough. But it was like he can be kind of a much smaller man. It was too much to overcome. Whereas like if he fights Lomachenko and he loses to him, he's no excuses. Yeah. So in a way, that would be more career defining, I think. So I don't know if he'd want to do it and when, but that would be much more interesting. Spence threw. I was just going to say Spence threw nearly 1,100 punches.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. Actually, I think that's incredible. His output.
Great output. He landed a lot. He landed 345. So he landed like a third of his punches, which is a lot. Garcia got beat up.
He did. Your boy David Benavidez versus Jalen Love. Do you know what about Benavidez, right?
He looks good.
Man, he is fucking busy. Like, he just went out and was like, I am going to throw 1,000,000 fucking punches. And he did. And, like, it just ended immediately. Like, really, really quickly. Really interesting.
Yeah. I think he'll be back in the mix soon enough. Yeah. A fighter that I suppose probably I don't know enough about compared to what I should know about, Luis Nery. So he won in a dominant fashion. Mukjo Arroyo.
What a name.
Can't take that name seriously. It's an amazing name. But basically, Nery's never been beaten in the ring. So he's had... was it a drugs ban, and then he's missed weight and lost his title there, but he's an undefeated fighter. He's still only 24 and he looked really good. So I think he's one who in the next within this year should be getting a world title shot, and he'll be real dangerous if he stays on the sort of straight and narrow and doesn't make a mess of anything. Then I think he's definitely a high level guy one to watch.
Yeah, totally agree. Now let's talk about Sunday, which is Box Nation,
Should
ESPN.
we talk about Sunday?
Definitely talk about Sunday. Michael Conlan versus Ruben Garcia Hernandez. Probably the biggest talking point, I would say, would be Michael Conlan's walk-in music.
Very, very controversial.
Do you know what, right? Who's fucking letting him get away with it? Like, who's saying, do you know what, Mick? This is a good way to go. Do you know, like, no matter what side of the sectarian divide you're on, right? We actually live in 2019, and I kind of feel the ooh-ah up the rah is not something like, the thing is, I think in the States they probably won't get it.
Yeah. No, I don't think they did, and it'd be a kind of, I guess, pretty select crowd. But I mean, I think it's difficult to understand overall how he'll come out of it well. Do you know what I mean? Is he trying to have a very extreme like fan base and alienate everyone else? It just doesn't seem very good, like PR wise. It seems like a big blunder.
I totally agree, and like, you know, it's definitely like what people are talking about more than actually like what, you know, his fight. You know, I agree. Which for the record, he won. It was a shot out 100-90. Yeah.
He's still like kind of progressing through the professional ranks, but he's obviously a very highly touted prospect. There's a lot of chat about when, not if, he'll have the grudge match versus Vladimir Nikitin, who is the Russian who was awarded the decision at the Olympics, wasn't it? But that was obviously superly controversial, and most people thought that he should have been awarded that fight. But anyway, I don't know if the boy Nikitin's doing that well, because he struggled to a majority decision versus a journeyman fighter on the undercard. So I think that's going to be a fight with lots of hype but not much substance.
Paddy Barnes lost to a journeyman. contemplating retirement, turning into one of those guys that we talked about last week. Like, oh yeah, who did he get beaten by again? You know?
Yeah, it's a funny one because he was kind of obviously very highly touted as well. But yeah, he's. He said, I thought it was really interesting. He said after the fight, I think one of the judges gave it to him on points. One of the judges had him, and the other two obviously had Mojica, who was his opponent. But he was like, I don't understand how one of the judges had me winning that fight. I think I lost every round.
Fucking hell. Yeah, and then Luis Collazo versus Samuel Vargas. Good split decision for Collazo.
Exciting fight, real brawl. Very good, very good, very good.
Cool. Well, then let's move on to what the F are the fights this weekend.
We can.
Cool. So Saturday night, we'll start off with the Matchroom Boxing Sky card from the Copper Box in London. The exciting flyweight Charlie Edwards is taking on his first defense of his WBC crown against Angel Moreno. Do you know what? I rate this boy Charlie Edwards. I like him. I like him as a person. Actually, I think he's nice. I think So good luck to him. Joshua Boatsy is fighting Liam Conroy. The less that's said about Boatsy, the better, I think, to be honest.
No, do you not like Boatsy?
I don't like Boatsy, man. I don't. They're fighting for the British light heavyweight title. I don't like Boatsy, man. I just don't like his style. I don't like the way he fights. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure he'll win.
Very highly touted.
He is highly touted. He's AJ's fighter, isn't he?
No, that's Okoli.
Oh, right, okay.
Who you really
don't like Okoli. Like, I really don't like Okoli, but he's fighting. Lawrence Okoli, guys, if you remember, is the man who fought Matty Askin last year, and it was like the worst fight that anyone's ever watched in the history of mankind. So that's one to remember as well.
He's on the card as well, isn't he? Our friend of the pod, Lawrence.
Yeah, he is. And Lewis Ritzen's on the card. If you guys remember, Lewis Ritson was fighting last year against Francesco Patera in Newcastle, and it was in front of a home crowd, and he lost. He went all out, and it was just a really bad a display from Lewis Ritson. So this is supposed to be his kind of comeback. Lewis
Ritson versus Argentino Benitez on the Copper Box card as well.
So all British card. Then also Saturday night, so it's going to be a toss-up, guys, which one you go for. We've got a Frank Warren BT Sport card. Super featherweight British super featherweight title, which is Sambo Jordan McCorry. Then other highly touted prospect Nathan Gorman versus Fabio Maldano for the WBC International Silver Heavyweight title. Well, we shouldn't even be mentioning these.
Could step him up.
We shouldn't be mentioning
these. But Gorman should be getting stepped up if we're talking about how great he is. He's fighting someone decent.
Do you know who else is on this card?
Go on.
Tommy Fury.
Okay.
Tommy Fury is on this.
But he doesn't have to fight anyone decent. He's had one professional fight and he's like 20 or something, isn't he? You can fight Nuggets for another 3. You can fight Nuggets as long as he wants. That's fine for a few years, whatever. But I think Gorman should be fighting good quality.
Absolutely, yeah. So there are a couple. I mean, Tommy Fury. It'd be interesting to see who he comes up against, or like how he comes out. But
eventually, yeah. There's the only other thing to mention is ESPN. I don't think it's been picked up in the UK. I could be wrong. It's happened before. But ESPN overnight in Inglewood, California, Francisco Vargas versus Miguel Belcher. for the WBC. I'm not allowed to say. They're fighting at super featherweight, but I'm not allowed to say which belt it's for. But it's for a belt.
It's for a belt. So some good boxing to watch out for. You're just gonna have to toss up more British names on the Sky card. Well-known names, I would say. But like a lot of the, I would watch Sky card. A lot of the companies are doing like clever stuff now, where actually they've realized there's no value in them the following day, so they're putting them like straight up on YouTube. So yeah, keep an eye on YouTube. Anyway,
good top tip.
Top tip. Let's move on then to everyone's favourite part of the podcast, which is what the F went wrong last week.
I got an interesting one for
What's
you.
that?
Do you remember I said I couldn't decide if bi-weekly was like, is it twice a week or is it once every 2 weeks? Because within the context of our podcast, it's twice a week. Yeah. It's twice a week. So bi-weekly can mean either, which is incredibly confusing.
It is confusing. I would, if it was every 2 weeks, though, I would say fortnightly.
Well, that would be less ambiguous.
Well, of course it would. Yeah. Welcome to the English language.
You're all about precision, aren't you? Well, the English language has decided that bi-weekly can mean two things that have quite drastically different implications. So there we go. I thought that was interesting to flag. At one point, I say about referee scoring a fight when I meant, of course, judges. Just a little slip there. Sorry.
No, these things happen.
These things happen. We should flag them. We need to flag them. Make the people aware. The other thing is we were both really quite disparaging about Scottish Rugby before the weekend.
What a comeback. But then draws in like spectacular Scottish style. We're winning until like 2 minutes before the end and then managed to pull off a draw. However, I felt right afterwards, I could only imagine deep in Holyrood, Nicola Sturgeon in her pants with a bottle of Bucky in hand, demanding that her advisors find a loophole in the Act of Union that retaining the Calcutta Cup at Twickenham automatically triggers an independent Scotland.
Triggers a second referendum. Any ref too. Dear God, let's not get into this. I think this is far too emotionally charged.
Indeed.
We shouldn't get into it. I was going to say something about Burkow because he's quite funny, is it? He's like, nah.
Oh, nah.
But it's not. He's like, do you know what you're going to do? You're not doing that because I've found a law from 400 years ago that says you're not allowed because I'm a rampant Remainer. In your face. Haha.
Yeah.
Put that in your pipe. Totally not relevant. Anyway, the other thing that I was going to research, but I forgot to be perfectly honest, and we'll do it for next week, is a bit more detail about what referees look for stoppages or to continue, because we talked about it, but we didn't reach a kind of full conclusion. So we'll try and round that piece out for next week.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Random news?
Oh, too much random news, Ryan. Too much random news. Remember last week we were like, oh, Wilder apparently might side for DAZN and then he'll be fighting AJ before the end of the year.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, just let's can we edit that out of last week's episode?
There's a lot of chat about it, but like,
no, well, it's not anymore. Yeah. It's all done. It's all done and dusted. It's no chat.
I know.
It's not happening.
No matter how much Eddie Hearn throws more money at the problem. Like Shelly Finkel's like, don't do this, Deontay. Don't do it. And he's like, okay, Shirley, I won't do it because it will make me lots of money. And Shirley's like, don't worry about the money, Deontay. Don't worry about the money. Here's £7. Go buy yourself a chocolate bar, Deontay.
It seems the rumor is he turned down 100 million.
Exactly. Like it's just ridiculous. Like whoever this man's advisors are, what the fuck? I mean, you'd be like
100 million plus 3-fight deal from DAZN. I mean, you just think just take it. I mean, how much is it? How important is it to like keep inverted commas control? Just be like, I will take the whatever offer that gets me the 100 million, please.
Totally.
And then I can go and buy a country.
Exactly. I'll then buy a television station for the remainder of my fights.
Yeah, I'll buy it, and then I can stage my own fights on my own TV channel. Oh wow. Yeah. Anyway, topically speaking, today they did the presser for
the fight against Brazil.
The fight against Brazil, which apparently this is hot off the press. I'm reading this as we're speaking.
May 18th
will not.
Yeah.
Yes, May 18th. Thanks, Ryan. But it will not be on pay-per-view in a bid to increase the Alabamian champion's profile in the US and garner more pulling power in negotiation with Joshua and Fury. But if he'd taken a deal for 100+ million for 3 fights, he wouldn't need any bargaining power. He would just have all the money that you get from having a really strong bargaining position.
Do you know what the thing is, right? I think that Shelly Finkel must come from the same negotiation school as Theresa May. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, all right, well, what we need to do is get ourselves in the worst position possible and draw a bunch of red lines before we even start.
Yeah, exactly. It's just mad. It just seems madness. But anyway, I think the one interesting thing about the fight with Brazil is that there is genuine animosity. There was some kind of brawl in a hotel lobby back in the day, and there were some threats against family and all sorts of nonsense. But I think there will be some good old fashioned anger and some aggression in the build up. I think the fight will be like a proper damn squib with like nothing much happening for 5 rounds and then Brazil getting knocked the F out. But anyway, as we spoke about last week, at least I'll get it done by the way. Other random news, a date in mid-April has been set for the purse bids for Kovalev versus Yard.
Yeah, I know. Like,
you're still not convinced it's going to happen. I don't know. It seems like Yard would need to say, well, I'm not fighting him, so therefore there's not much point doing a purse bid. But I don't know. Sounds odd. Maybe it will happen. Maybe he's going to go for it. Be interesting.
Yeah.
11th of May is being touted as a date for the rematch between Emmanuel Navarrete and Isaac Dogbe. Dogbe, of course, was upset by Navarrete and unexpectedly lost his belt. So they're saying 11th of May there'll be a rematch.
Good stuff.
I want to flag something that we probably, if we were superly well informed, we should have talked about before, or someone we should have talked about before. That? So he fought on the Bivol undercard, so not the weekend just passed, but the weekend before, in his second pro fight, a gentleman by the name of Israel Madrimov. Okay. He won his second pro fight by brutal KO and then proceeded to do gymnastics over his prone and unconscious victim.
Fucking hell.
This boy's got some style. There's a lot of chat about this boy being Loma 2.0.
Right, okay.
So to say he's one to watch, I think is something of an underestimation. He has, like, I think a ridiculously stellar amateur pedigree.
Yeah.
And he wanted to fight for a world title in his professional debut. He had to be reined in. He fights at he can fight either at welter or light middle, and I think this fight was at light middle, and he beat someone with a reasonable-ish record, but who wasn't a world-class fighter. But he knocked him out in very impressive style. We can maybe put up a link, but anyone can look it up. Madrimov's knockout, it's proper brutal. He's got all these kind of like weird angles and like loads of like lateral movement and like very big punching. But the movement and the style is quite kind of Loma-esque.
Nice.
Which I think is what a lot. But he looks to be like a banger as well. Anyway, his trainer who is a very highly regarded and long-standing trainer, says if he fought Jaime Munguia, who's the monster, one of the monster champions at light middle, he says right now he would stop him within 6 rounds.
Fucking hell, man.
So they're fairly pretty confident about him. So I think he's going to be super accelerated in terms of he will be, I think, fighting for a championship within the year and probably I guess it would be 4th or 5th professional fight. So this is like Loma levels of accelerated professional learning. So he's a super prospect. But I don't think we'd mentioned him before on the podcast. So Israel Madrimov is the big one to watch.
Good stuff.
Yeah. You're welcome, listeners. You're welcome.
Cool. Well, with that in mind, let's move on, Andy. Do you want to tell me what grinds your gears this week?
I'm going to go positive again.
Fuck. All right. Okay. All right. No,
right, okay. Not really. I'm not. No.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Nah. Quite interesting. I think kind of reasonably relevant or reasonably related to a lot of the chat that Carl Froch does about like ex-boxer being a bit disparaging about rivals, probably in an attempt to stay relevant. And there's someone else that's quite good at doing it, or are quite good at voicing their opinions about the heavyweight division, which is Lennox Lewis.
I know.
Does like too much chat. Anyway, he was pretty disparaging over the current heavyweight crop, and he said obviously that he would beat them. And he said that the one that would give him the most trouble would be Fury because he's a bit tricky, but he would expect that he would stop him in the sort of later rounds. I think he said, he'd give me some problems, but then I'd stop him in about 10. And I was like, shut your face. It would be a double standard for us not to be annoyed about this, given that we don't like Carl Froch doing it. So although Lewis does go down as one of the all-time greats, all-time great heavyweights, he still should wind his neck in and just like, don't answer. If someone asks you a question like that, just don't answer it. Have a bit of like decorum and just be like, "Oh, it's a different era. You can't compare," even though it's not true. And then go home and tell like your wife, "By the way, I would totally fucking beat Fury," but don't say it on a global picked up interview.
Indeed. And if you guys want more of that, look out for our episode later in the week, which we're going to tease right now. Who the F is Carl Froch? We got plenty of that shit coming your way.
Tease the listeners. Okay, sorry. Anyway, that's what grinds my gears. Just a quick one this week. So, Ryan, would you like to tell me what grinds your gears?
You know what really grinds my gears?
Andy, I am going to tell you what grinds my gears, okay?
This segment would be pretty fucking different if you didn't.
It's this, right? It's that I don't understand why Deontay Wilder seems to be the only boxer in the history of mankind that doesn't want to make any money.
Maybe he's allergic.
Like that's the only thing that like I don't get it, because like somehow he was going to give $50 million to AJ for a fight, which they were like, okay, fine, but where's the $50 million? Show me like that you have like the ability to pay that money. But also like DAZN coming out and saying, look, we will give you $100 million. That is a lot for a 3-fight deal. Like, it's so good that like Triple G have taken it, fucking Canelo's taken it. Like, it's a good deal to take that deal. And like, he's not being looked after very well by his advisors, who are somehow saying, oh no, Deontay, don't take this $100 million guaranteed in your pocket, cash motherfucking monies, because it's no good for you. Like, either he's so afraid of getting beaten by Anthony Joshua that he's like, it costs him the opportunity cost is $100 million of fear, or like he's just being really badly advised that somehow someone thinks he's going to get a better offer than $100 million.
Yeah, I mean, it seems incredible. I mean, that would be, if I were him, surely he needs to be asking, well, if I don't take this, what are my projected earnings over my next 3 fights? What's a kind of what's a kind of like low case, middle case, and high case for my earnings over the next 3 fights, and then say, okay, well, how much am I giving up to lose a bit of autonomy, etc., etc. But I'm pretty sure he's not thinking in those kind of terms, and I'm pretty sure that whatever way you cut it, he's not getting anywhere near 100 million for 3 fights.
Agreed.
So it seems like a remarkable amount of money. I mean, I don't know how much you'll get paid for Brazil. Like, if it's not on pay-per-view, like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 million or something. I know.
It's so strange. Like, it's really, really strange, don't you think?
I think it's very odd. I think it's like I was saying before, if you relinquish all the control, but in doing so you make more money than you would have been able to negotiate in a best case scenario by maintaining the control, then why would you do it? Unless, like you say, there's other reasons and he doesn't want it to take the fight, or I don't know. It is very strange. It seems like almost like an outlet. Like the amount of money that DAZN seem to be offering the top people seems to be like seismically different, and it's like, why would you turn that down? It seems odd. It seems like a very, very big sacrifice to not take it in terms of the amount of money.
Agree.
I just I think it's a fair point. You think he's allergic to money, or maybe he's being advised in a way that's like where he's being manipulated to someone else's ends, maybe.
And I think that might be part of the case, actually. So I don't know, man. Like, I find it pretty. I don't know. It's just weird. I just find it's a very strange situation. So I don't know. That's just what grinds my gears this week. That's it. I just think it's an odd one.
We wouldn't turn down 100 million.
What a fuck, man. What a fuck. I'll be right there. Fuck it, I'll take it right now. 1 fight deal.
1 fight.
Cool. So, guys, a little bit of listener corner. Poll results. Let's talk about some poll results. So, overwhelmingly, people do not think that Yard is ready to fight Kovalev. Also, overwhelmingly, people do not know who the fuck the Transnational Boxing Ranking Board are.
Which is interesting, I think. Obviously, everyone will do now after listening to our incredibly well-informed episode.
Oh, of course.
Last week. Course. But, yeah, it's interesting that and that's people obviously with at least, who are interested in boxing. I still don't know. So within, if you took it to a wider polling, it would be basically zero. It would be almost zero that you. So clearly, while they are very, very worthy, the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board have a lot of work to do in terms of notoriety and publicity.
Agreed.
Lots still to be done.
So, so it's a weird one, man. It's a weird one, but So anyway, guys, look out again for our episode later in the week. Who the F is Carl Froch? It is some good shit. It is a laugh a minute, so you'll enjoy it. But with that in mind, it's goodbye from me, Ryan,
and goodbye from me, Andrew.